So I wrote an offer on this property $200,000 below list because that's what made sense. Welcome back to another installment of This Week in Real Estate, where I recap my week as a self-managing landlord of 20 plus units and a fix and flip investor. So this week started off with us securing a date for our appraisal for a refi that we're working on. This is a property that I picked up earlier in the year as a steal, or I'm at least hoping for it to be a steal. So it appraised for 180, 181 when we purchased it, and only paid 115 for it. And then I put about $5,000 into repairs. So the comps now are coming in at 190. So I'm hoping that the appraiser sees what I see and that 190 value comes, and then I'll be able to refinance out, get all my cash that I put into the property as far as like down payments, and keep the property as a cash flowing asset. So hoping everything goes well with that appraisal this week. Really quick, just a note on like things to do to prepare for appraisals, right? So I've notified the tenants that we have an appraisal. I usually just say like the bank is coming, and I want them to make sure that the grass is cut. I want them to make sure the inside is clean. I want it to make sure it smells good, because all these little things change how the appraiser views the property going in. So although the comps may support a certain value, the appraiser may not see that value if things aren't tidy, nice, smell good, everything with the property. So it's a little tip and trick. Also providing the appraiser comps that you see, so they are seeing the same thing that you're seeing, is another little tip when working with appraisers and trying to get the value that you want based on true comps, not just making up a number. But those two things help when working with appraisers and getting appraisals done. On top of that appraisal, we did an application to start a refi on the 4-unit building. Bought, I think like 4 or 5 months ago now. I've been holding off on doing this application for this refi because a property, I think I've talked about it. It's a property I owned that I sold last year for $450. It was on the market for $550 and had gone under contract for $550, but that appraisal came in at $515. So now that that property has sold, I have a very strong comp. It's literally like a block up. So gonna start the refi process there, hoping to be able to get out a good chunk of the down payment on this building. I don't think it's gonna be one of those bird deals where you get all the cash out, but hoping to get a good chunk, about 2/3 of the money that we put in to come out. So we started that process Friday, so we'll kind of take us probably 2-3 weeks to see what happens there. What else? Oh, I had a full-blown like text, I don't say argument, but like let's say argument with a tenant. So this tenant moved out, and they were asking me about their deposit, and I was like, well, you know, I need to get someone in there to see what the unit looks like. I needed to have it cleaned. Once I had it cleaned, I was like, okay, like it's cleaning up good, like let me just see, I know it needs to be painted. I sent my painter in, and he looks at it and he's like, yeah, like there's little stuff, but it's so much little stuff that I can't just like spot paint this and spot paint that, and there's chips here, there's damage here, and he's showing me all these things on video, so I know he's not just blowing smoke. So I'm like, all right, dang, we gotta repaint this whole unit. And so this tenant had reached out to me asking me about like, hey, like what's up with our deposit? And I was like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to get this deposit back. And I shared with him like there's multiple areas throughout the property where the walls have been damaged. It's beyond normal wear and tear. Like I'm aware when someone lives in a property, there's things that happen to walls. You can either like wipe them off, do touch up paint, whatever. But this was beyond that. Like there's some patching that needed to happen. there's painting of the whole unit, and that's just paint. Like there was a wood transition because we have like a cutout between the dining room and the kitchen. There's a wood like shelf. They had totally broke that off. There's like a door with like coming off the hinges. There's like they had left trash in the backyard. And so I didn't even go into all those other things with them. I was just like, yeah, we're not getting it back. I gotta repaint this whole unit. And what I hated most about like the interaction with them was that, like, as I'm telling them this, then he starts bashing the condition of the property. Like, well, there was this, and there was that, and there was this. And one thing about me is like when stuff comes up maintenance-wise, I knock it out. I get it taken care of. And what I told this tenant was like, you bashing the condition of this unit after you renewed your lease twice is super manipulative. Like, if the unit was so bad, why did you decide to stay here twice after you could have left? You decided to stay 2 more times. But we just agreed. I just was like, look, I'm not giving you your deposit back. They had actually gone over a couple days, so they were supposed to move out on the 1st. They didn't move out till like the 6th, so that eats up some of their deposit. And then there was the trash, the wood, the door, and then I had to paint the whole unit. So yeah, they weren't getting their deposit back. And then I even went as far as to say like, yo, I'm not even charging you the difference between what it will really cost me to get this unit ready again and what you have like would have had left from your deposit. And I don't think they realized like I'm being nice. Part of me wanted to be petty and just send them an invoice with all the cost and say like, this is how much you actually owe me, and then take them to court and try to get that balance just because they were being jerks about me keeping their deposit when they clearly damaged the unit beyond normal wear and tear. And again, I've been doing this for 6-7 years now. I know what normal wear and tear looks like on a unit and like beyond normal wear and tear. So that was my moment where I wanted to just like go crazy, but I have to be the bigger person. I hate it, but it has to happen. What else? On the acquisition side, so found just on the MLS this 5-unit property, and of course they only had like a couple pictures online, like 5 exterior pictures, but the realtor described it as move-in ready. And so because it's 5 units, it is considered commercial and no longer residential. So the value of this property is calculated totally different. And based on how like value of commercial property is calculated, which is net operating income divided by cap rate, we go into that a whole nother like dive. But the property could be worth anywhere from like 700 and something thousand to like 800 some thousand, depending on cap rate. So it works there. The value that they've listed at works based on cap rate. But the property does not cash flow based off of the list price and the cost of repairs that have to go into it. So just looking at it, it would need like $200,000. Like every unit would have to be touched. New windows, new HVAC, new bathrooms, new kitchens in every unit. And so the price doesn't work for me to renovate it and then rent it in cash flow. It would work if I wanted to just sell it. It would work because the value would be there, but it wouldn't cash flow, so no one would buy it. Or the buyer pool would be very small, let's put it that way. So I wrote an offer on this property $200,000 below list because that's what made sense for me as a deal. So I think I put a tweet out about this, but this is your reminder to offer what makes sense, not the list price. Of course, they countered at some ridiculous number. I said no, but I just wanted to throw it out there. The lady that owns the property owned it with her husband. Her husband is passed. She hasn't physically seen this property in 7 years. So maybe once no one bites, they'll kind of come to their senses and realize that like my number wasn't just like a crazy number. I actually did try to send them videos of the units so they see how much work needs to happen, but we'll circle back in a couple weeks to see how they're feeling about my number after they sat for a while, because the property had only been on the market for like 10 days, so still pretty new. After it's set for 45, 50 days, we'll see how they're feeling about that at that point. What else? We had our broken lease, so I think I've talked about it. We had a guy that wanted to move out. He was gonna break his lease and he was going to pay a couple months rent to break his lease. So he moved out this weekend, so we're going to try to turn and burn that unit. We're gonna get someone in this week, try to assess what we need to do to get it back market ready, and try to get that unit rented in the next 2 weeks. I think one thing that I really like is with the Show Mojo platform, people can go see the property when they want to, so it allows us to get more people through the door to see it. So I'm hoping with the condition of that property, I know, well, before they moved in, I had just done some work in there, so it was in good condition. And with people being able to go see it when they want, that we can fill it in 2 weeks. Speaking of filling units, some of the vacant units that we had, the one that the tenant that was arguing about their deposit, we had a couple showings there this weekend. One solid application, so I'm gonna do some verifications there. And then the vacant units in the 4 unit that we got another application there. That one looks good as well, so I'm gonna do some verifications on that information. And then hopefully by like Wednesday, have those people accepted and start collecting deposits. And then we'll just have one more vacant unit in the 4 unit, and then these people that just moved out. So we're almost getting to 100% occupancy, but even like 90%, I feel like we're good. So we're getting there. And then last but not least, our problem flip, this flip that we have not been able to sell. We are under contract, and I think this one is gonna go through. So my realtor was able to find the buyer through another buyer that she had helped buy their property. They referred their friends, and she worked with them, got them pre-qualified. They submitted an offer. It has no contingencies as far as inspections, so it's an as-is purchase. So I think the only thing that could really go wrong is financing, but we think they really qualified. The lender has really qualified them. So God willing, the problem flip will be off the books in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So very, 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 very excited about that. That was my week, but this week in the news, the Fed said it's time to drop rates. So I think I did a video, or one of the videos I did recently, I talked about how we have seen rates start coming down because they think the Fed is gonna drop rates. So the Fed has officially said he thinks it's time to drop rates. So I expect to see mortgage rates drop a little bit more, which is perfect, because one of the flips that we're working on is gonna hit the market this week, this upcoming week, and then the other one should be 2 or 3 weeks behind the first one. So rates coming down in the market should help buyers qualify, and more people wanting to be in the market because they qualify. So happy about that. But that was this week in real estate. As always, if you have any questions, comments, shoot me a DM, leave a comment. And if you like the series, feel free to share it with someone and give me a follow.